Hey everyone, this is Dylan, and today I'm going to be doing a movie review for you guys. So the movie I'm reviewing today is Willard. So one of the first things that I did when I came back to school was go around to a couple of the thrift stores and see what kind of things they had. Mostly I was looking for like movie related things, and I happened to find Willard's. I got Willard for 20 cents, so I was pretty excited about that. And I had never seen this film before, but I knew of it, and I was excited to watch it. So Willard was released on March 14th, 2003. It was directed by Glenn Morgan, and it stars Crispin Glover as Willard, R. Lee Ermey as Frank Martin, Laura Elaine Herring as Catherine. This movie had a budget of $20 million, and at the box office it made $8.5 million. So it was a box office failure. That was for sure. And if you're thinking that Willard sounds familiar, it is actually it's a loose remake of a movie from 1971, also called Willard. But I was reading that the producers didn't really build this as a remake. It follows a lot of the same, like, plot points, but it's not a remake of the movie, I guess. And I haven't seen the original, so I don't know how much of a remake or not it is. So I can't really speak to that. But let's get into what Willard is about. So Willard is a very antisocial person. He lives in this like giant mansion with his mother, who is gravely ill, and he's kind of like her caregiver. And so, but she's kind of abusive to him. At one point, he goes into her room and his mom is like, you know, I don't really like your name. It's a very weak name, so I'm just gonna call you Clark. And so the rest of the time that she is in the movie, she calls him Clark instead of Willard, which is very sad, basically. And so one night he actually hears some like scurrying around, I guess, in the basement. And so he walks down to the basement and realizes that there are some rats in there. And he goes to the store and buys some rat traps. Well, what happens is that he has the snap traps, and they don't work. All the rats can't just get the food off of them, and they don't get killed, essentially. So he decides he's going to get glue traps. And so he gets glue traps, and in the middle of the night, he hears like this ridiculous amount of squeaking, and so he goes downstairs and finds this little white rat on a glue trap, and he feels bad because the rat is still alive and all of that. And I've been there. We've had glue traps, and there's been a mouse that was stuck to it, and I felt bad. Glue traps are just terrible. So I would definitely recommend against not using it. So he takes some vegetable oil and pours it over the rat and gets the rat off of the glue trap safely. And he decides that he's going to keep this rat. And this rat is now going to be his friend. And he names this rat Socrates. There's also another rat, which is like this giant rat, which it's technically, I don't even think it's a rat. I think it's actually some sort of Australian rodent, because it definitely does not look like anything from America that I've seen. So there's another one, and his name is Ben, and he's kind of like the leader of the rats, because Willard starts to feed the rats, and it just creates a lot of rats. There's so many rats. There's probably hundreds before it's all said and done. And he starts to train the rats to do things. And he also has a very abusive boss at work. And I'm just going to leave it there. But he does train rats to do things. So if that sparks your interest, then yeah. And there's 2 abusive people in his family, or in his life. So you can probably put 2 and 2 together of what happens. But let's talk about what I liked about this movie. So I loved this movie. I did not think that I was going to like it. I did not think I was going to like it near as much as I did. It was crazy. Although, and I've said this, seems like I've said this for several of the movies that I've watched recently, but this reminded me of the movie May. And, well, there's an antisocial character and who doesn't really know how to handle social situations, and I think that the way that this movie worked was really good. So I'd say the rat work is super amazing in this movie. Particularly, I mean, all of them together when there's all these rats, I can't really tell what is CGI and what's not. But the main rat work between Socrates and Ben is like outstanding. It is unbelievable how this story tells you certain things about these rats and how they are feeling and how it can pull those off. Like, I got those feelings from these rats. And it is just insane that, because the rats can't talk, they don't really show emotion, but the way that the movie films these rats, and it really just hits home what the movie is trying to get across about these rats. And I think that that is just superb. I mean, overall, I would say that there wasn't really anything that I disliked too much about this movie. I mean, there is some rat death, which is pretty. I mean, anytime an animal dies, it's pretty bad. Obviously, it didn't happen in real life, but that is depicted on the screen. You don't see anything other than like the aftermath, and then you hear like squeaking during. So it's a little uneasy. But that's probably the only thing that I particularly didn't like. I also need to mention it before I finish this up, that another thing that I liked that I left out in the beginning was that acting in this movie is insane how good it is. Crispin Glover is great in his role as Willard. We also have R. Lee Ermey, and he is great too. If you've seen, he seems kind of one note. Because if you've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake, he is the one that's playing the sheriff in that movie, and he essentially was playing the exact same role in Willard, just he wasn't a sheriff. So that's kind of, he does it well, so that's pretty good for him. And they both came out about the same time. I think it was the same year, so he filmed these probably back to back. So now let's talk about what other people thought about this movie. On Letterboxd, it has a 3 out of 5. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 64% critic score and a 51% audience score. And it has a cinema score of a D-, which is unfathomable how low that is for me. I don't know how people got this. I give this a 4.5 stars out of 5 on my Letterboxd. If you're interested in following me on Letterboxd, definitely check out my description box. I have my Letterboxd user in the description box, so you can go and follow me on there. But yeah, I personally really enjoyed this movie. There is a super weird, it mentions it right here, but there's this Crispin Glover is singing the title song Ben, which I didn't realize, but in the original movie it was sang by Michael Jackson, which seemed very strange for a movie like this. But Crispin Glover is singing it, and it's a music video at the end of the movie, but it's just bizarre. So that is it for this movie. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and remember, if you're not already subscribed and you'd like to be, please hit that subscribe button down below and give this video a like if you liked it. Let me know what you think about Willard if you've seen it, or if you're interested in seeing it. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day. Bye!